you are in for a treat. For the first time ever, I am hosting a guest for the third time.
Three-peat, baby. I'm trademarking it. Three-peat.
You're not supposed to talk during my soft open.
Yes, I am. It's a Steve show.
This guy has been around since the 1900s. You wind him up, you let him go, and you will be edutained. And today we're going to touch on a topic that we all can use a refresher. And this is the 9 ways to a positive mindset. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children 18 plus. You are tuned in to the Loan Officer Podcast with me, Dustin Owen, and a very special guest. Back for the third time, he hails from Baltimore, Maryland. He is a legend from the 1900s. He is bringing immense value in the 2020s. He is everybody's funny guy. He is my friend. He is a mentor. He is the one, the only Steve Richman. Steve, welcome back to TLOP.
Got to change one thing. You forgot one word.
What word did I forget?
I'm the funny-looking guy. I ain't the funny guy, baby. I got a face for radio, not for podcasts. That's how we do.
A face for radio and energy that needs no coffee.
Nah, I'm a no coffee needed production.
Yeah, unlike me where I'm on my second cup to get like this. Whatever this is, pasty, pale, and bald-headed, it comes with 2 cups of Joe every morning.
I'm about to join you, my friend.
Yeah,
it's getting lesser every day. Let's get that haircut. The secret to success is no hair.
Is that what it is?
No.
I wonder if they've ever studied that. I bet they have. I bet someone has studied, C-level executives, entrepreneurs, and billionaires. I wonder how many of them have hair versus no hair, and then compare that to, the rest of the world in terms of hair versus no hair. And I wonder if there's a higher percentage or a lower percentage of those that have had success in business and how many hair follicles work on top of their dome.
No doubt about it.
All right, so here we are, guys. We are at the FAMP, so that's the Florida Association of Mortgage Professionals annual conference.
Fantastic conference.
And trade show. Oh, it is one of the best of the year. This is my 3rd time participating in a row. First time being here podcasting. I'll be speaking tomorrow. You spoke this morning. 600 plus attendees. This is 2024, y'all. Like, this is not boomtown mortgage and real estate year. No, this is one of those dips or these lulls, yet FAMP puts on such a production that they bring out the best of the best. And although it's called the Florida Association of Mortgage Professionals, I've met as many people from out of state as I have met in state. So you missed this year's event if you're tuning in, because this show has now dropped after the event. But what I'm going to tell you, start following FAMP. Go ahead and check them out, both Instagram and on their website, and mark next summer on your calendar, because this is a type of event that you're going to want to be at, especially if you like this dude and you dig what I do, because I anticipate guys like Steve and I consistently being a part of FAMP. So we are going to take advantage, though, today. I grabbed you off the main stage. Oh, go ahead.
If you saw that, I've come to this show so often and spoken here so many times. I got an award today.
What was your award? I did not see it because I had to take a call at 10, so I only got to listen to 30 minutes of your hour-long keynote.
At the end, they said, I am the 2nd person ever to be inducted into the FAMP Hall of Fame.
No way. Congratulations. Yep. Who was the first person? Do you remember?
Carl White.
No way.
Yep.
Wow. Carl White with Mortgage Marketing Animals, now Steve Richman.
There you go.
Congratulations. That's awesome. Now I have something to aspire to become.
And I'm in the TLOP Green Jacket Hall of Fame because I am
a 3rd time.
3-peat. It's like SNL, man. I'm a 5-time guest. I got a 3-time guest. I got 2 more to go. D.O. Let's do it.
You got this. Well, let's go ahead and jump right into it. 9 ways to a positive mindset. Now, I got to watch you do this as a webinar. And before I start, if people want to contact you to do public speaking events, to do webinars for their companies, let's get the business side out of the way. How do they get a hold of you?
SteveRichman.com. SteveRichman. You want to be a rich man? I want to be a rich man. SteveRichman.com.
They made a song about you recently.
If I were.
The Rich Men from Richmond.
Okay.
Oh, no, the Rich Men north of Richmond.
Okay.
Yeah. I don't think it's really about you, because I think it's about bashing politicians in D.C. But nonetheless, I think of you when I hear Richman.
Well, I go. Well, that's the problem because they all want to spell it M-O-N-D, and it's M-A-N. So I go old school, baby. Go back to Fiddler on the Roof. Go to Tevye. If I were a rich man. Okay, that's who I am, rich man.
SteveRichman.com. Book Steve for your next event. Book him for a webinar. And I actually got to see Steve do this particular webinar. And when he and I were talking about podcasting, I'm like, dude, can we just almost do the webinar without doing the webinar? And let's talk about like the 9 keys to a positive mindset. So here's where the fun begins, because believe it or not, I'm going to learn how to shut the F up, wind Steve up, and let him go. So what do you say, Steve, to that person that says like, I can't be motivated? What's your answer to that?
I'm not here to motivate you. You are motivated. You want to know why? You're listening to this. If you didn't care and you gave up and you're not motivated and you're not trying to improve, guess what you're not doing? Listening to the two of us. Motivation, I hate saying, people, are you a motivational speaker? Absolutely not. I'm a practical speaker, because when I look at motivational speakers, I know what motivates me, and what motivates me is very different than what motivates you. So how can you have that one person that stands up and says, oh, I'm a motivational speaker? I just think this is a fun story. So I was in Chicago, Illinois. I'm in the Rose Hotel. I don't know if you know where the Rose Hotel is. It's right across from O'Hare. It's got a big red rose right there in front, right across from O'Hare. We had maybe 300 people in the audience, and I was one of the 2 motivational speakers there. And the first one, his name happened to be Steve also. And he is a mountain climber, and he's gone up. His goal was, I'm going to go up the highest mountain on every continent, and I'm going to snowboard down it.
Wow.
He's saying, and I was going up on such and such a continent, and I went up to this one mountain, and I'm going up it, and all of a sudden I get caught in an avalanche, and there's snow coming, and there's rocks coming, and I'm falling down, and I look over, and there's my foot next to my face. I'm like, it shouldn't be there, and I had to get medevaced off of that mountain, and I got 16 screws in my leg, and I rehabbed for 18 months, and you know what I did next? I went back up another mountain, and I'm on that mountain, and I fall into a crevice, and I broke my back, and they had to medevac me out of there, and I gotta have a rod in my back, and next week I'm going up on another mountain, because I got to tell you something. This is what I was born to do. I was born to climb mountains, and I was born to snowboard down them. So you got to do what you were born to do. And I'm the next guy. And I'm in mortgages. So when they say, oh, you got to do what you were born to do, I'm like, hi. I'm in mortgages. So I'm sitting, I go up on the stage, and he's sitting right there in front row. He's next to the CEO, sitting right there. I said, Steve, got to tell you, I know I was just introduced as a motivational speaker. You're a motivational speaker. You're a motivational speaker. All that great stuff. I said, you know what? You motivated me. Never go mountain climbing, right? I mean, because that's what it is.
Yes.
Right? But it's not a matter of motivation. It's a matter of why. And I don't want to get into the whole Simon Sinek, what's your why? Because I think that I almost want to flip the what's your why to what's your my. Stop making it about this huge grandiose thing of like, I need to change the world. And it's wonderful. And I want everybody to change the world and do that. But on a day-to-day basis, what's your my? Why are you doing what you do? Because that's what motivates you. And I do it for a very different reason than you do. Some people, you want to know what motivates me? Connecting with other people. Now, I know a lot of LOs out there. What do they say? Oh, what motivates me is I like the challenge of it, or I like to close loans, or I like to help people. I like to make people laugh from standing on the stage. And when somebody laughs, I said it when I was in there, they started to clap. I'm like, don't clap, I'll speak longer, because now I'm motivated to keep on going. So I don't like the term motivational speaker. I like practical, because you got to pick what motivates you.
Yeah, I very often tell people on that same level of thought, like, if you want motivation, pull out your phone, go to your photos, look at your family.
Well,
right? Like, there's your motivation. And by the way, if you don't like your family, that's okay. Not everyone does. But do this. Pull up your retirement account. Pull up your savings account. Pull up your W-2. Somewhere in there is motivation. I'm reading a book right now. I don't know if you've read it or not, but it's 10X is easier than 2X. And something that I've liked that the book has at least trained my brain to allow myself to think this way. And I think that's what books do. I don't think any one book is like the end-all be-all. But books, at a minimum, allow me to have diversity of thought, and it gives me different perspective. But it literally said, let's talk about what you want, right? What do you want? If you want to make a lot of money, tell people, I want to make a lot of money. Don't hide from that. And your motivation should, at that point, be doing things that make me money. you love people to laugh at you, but not laugh at you.
Oh my gosh, you're killing me. You're killing me.
You want people to laugh with you or because of things you've said.
I've connected. If I'm getting a smile, if I'm getting laughter, that means that there was connection. But I want to say this to you because I'm going to steal something from you because what do they say? Imitation's the greatest form of flattery. You and I, third time, folks, third time, we were co-presenting in Jacksonville, Florida, maybe about 9 months ago.
Yeah, maybe a year ago.
Maybe a year ago.
Yeah, it all bleeds together.
And when I was doing my presentation, I was talking about motivation. I said, what motivates you? And I said, here's what motivates me. And I took my phone out of my pocket and I showed everybody a picture of my kid. I said, that's what motivates me. And you just said it now. Yeah. So what does that mean? Some people would say, oh my God, he's saying what I said. I'm going, oh my God, he's saying what I said. It connected. And that to me is what motivation is. I know I did something that he remembered, so therefore I feel like I'm connected. And now that's how I'm making a difference.
Yeah. Let me ask you a question though, because sticking on that same topic of you love to speak, you love to present, you love to make people think, which is what we do here on the show. Like my job is to make you think. My job isn't to actually give you all the answers because I don't have all the answers, right? I can just talk about my experiences or the experiences of my friends.
There aren't all the answers because it's all the answers for you.
Wow, that's even deeper, right? We could go down an entire rabbit hole that I'm going to prevent us from being able to go down today. But what I want to ask you is, but at some point, would you still love connecting and still love making people think and making people smile and laugh if there wasn't a paycheck at the end of the line? Or is there a certain part of compensation that plays into it?
There's multiple ways to answer that question. The first answer is, what's your definition of success? So if your definition of success is just to make people laugh, then that's fine. If your definition of success is, I have success when I put X dollars into the bank, then that's your definition of success. If your definition of success is, I have the word vice president next to my title, then that's your definition of success. So the first thing is, what's your definition?
Dislike that one the most, by the way, the title one.
Oh,
that's probably like my least favorite, because I can make an argument for the emotional cause, right? The I'm changing the world, I'm connecting with people, I'm making the world a better place. Like I can justify that, but then I would tell that person, but you still got to pay your bills and live your lifestyle. And then there's people who are truly money motivated. I'm like, cool, you love money, but are you leaving the world better than you found it? Are you a good person? But I was just curious for you and your take where your answer would go with this.
So then the next thing is, and this goes back to what Mark Cuban says. Mark Cuban says, don't follow your passion. Follow how your passion can make you money. Right?
Have you hung out with Mark recently?
Through my TV.
Okay.
But it's one of the things that really, it affected me when he said that, because everybody goes, oh, follow your passion. Well, if you were following your passion, I'm going to go be on a beach all day long, or I'll just read at my kids' school and make, read stories to the kids at the school. It's still business. And it's okay to get paid for what you do. And when you can marry getting paid with your passion, that's when you're doing it. You were talking about with title and whatnot. I used to be a manager, and I was like, I said to the company, I'm like, I don't want to be a manager anymore. I want to be an individual contributor because I'm making a bigger difference, and I'm finding my definition of success as an individual greater than managing other people to do this.
I love this. So let's do this for the audience, because we kind of teased it with the soft
9.
open. Yeah, and we don't need to do anything besides, like, let's pop through them 1 through 9. If you were to sit down and say, hey, these are nine ways to a positive mindset, what are those 9? And maybe the tease will be, if you really want to dive deeper, that's where you have to go to steverichman.com. What are those 9s? Let's wind you up and let you go.
Number 1, y'all been lied to your entire life. Okay, that's the first thing. You got to say, okay, I got to get out of the mindset, because what were we told? What were you told? I'm looking at you. What were you told? You were told, hey, you're supposed to work hard. Why? Because if you work hard, you find success. And once you find success, you can go be happy. That's an absolute crock. That is not the way that it works whatsoever. The reality is, as soon as you work hard and you start to find success, what's your manager? What's your boss? What's the other person say? Well, if you work a little harder, you can become even more successful. So you get wrapped up in that whole thing, and you never get to what? You never get to happiness, because that's not how the progression works. The answer comes from a guy named Professor Sean Acker, who happens to be the happiness professor at Harvard University. He says happy people work harder and are more successful. Happy people work harder and are more successful. So instead of putting happiness at the end, which you were saying, hey, what's the definition of success, right? That's the end result, is the success. How do you get there? If you're happy, hi, I'm happy. I like what I'm doing. I'm enjoying this. I enjoy the work that I'm doing. Therefore, I'm going to have greatest success doing it.
I love that. Number 2, let's go.
Number 2 is you establish routines within yourself that will create habits of happiness. Example, and I say this one all the time, and I ask you, Dio, do you know somebody, it's like every time I talk to them, I feel worse, I feel depressed, my energy suck, it's just all gone. And do you know anybody that every time you talk to them, you're like, oh my God, I just enjoy. Why do you do this? Because you have these guests on here, and I know you're like, it's all about me. It's not. I'll be kind. It's not all about you. No, you don't believe it's all about you. I see the smile you get.
I believe it's all about the audience.
Right.
This is my megaphone to teach the shit they didn't teach us in school.
But your joy is when the person sitting in the other chair says something that's going to resonate
with the audience.
With 100%.
The audience. Yes.
So you are doing exactly one of the steps when it comes to happiness is replacing those energy sucks, those negative people, the ones that bring you down. And you're saying, I'm surrounding myself with people that are optimistic, that are helping me, that are helping others, that are interesting, that are creative, that are fun. Because what does that do? That introduces all that into your life, and that's how you start to define happiness. And that's just absolutely so critical to do. Who's within your circle is very, very important. And with those people, the 2 things that I would say there is let them know how important they are to you. Give that little bit of gratitude back. Give that little bit of feedback where you say, I appreciate this podcast that you're doing. I appreciate you. Don't wait till they're not in your life anymore and then say, well, I probably should have told them how important they were to me. I mean, that's something that you have to do. And the second one, quick little pause, I can't remember what it was. Appreciate, the power of work friends. This is where I love you, right? I work on my own. You know what drives me crazy? Working on my own. I worked for a company for 18, 19 years. Now I'm like, hey, it's time for lunch. What do? I walk out of one room, I walk into the kitchen, I pick 1 piece of bread, 2 pieces of bread, put it together, I eat a sandwich in 8 seconds, and I'm going back to work. I miss that. Work friends are critical. And I'm a guy. I've been married now for 30 years. I met my wife in 1980. My wife is the greatest person I have ever met, planet Earth, no question about it. You're good, but you ain't her. So just the greatest person. But when I come home and I say to her, hey, the appraisal came in low, she's like, so what's for dinner? There's no empathy there. She doesn't get it. I call you. I mean, let's be honest. I call you. I'm like, is the market doing this? Are you seeing that? Am I crazy? So the power of work friends when it comes to securing your happiness and your mindset, love them, baby.
You know what's crazy? That's why we're at this FAMP event. Like this FAMP event throughout my entire career, and those that are hardcore TLOPers that tune in all the time, they'll hear me. Like I'm at MBA functions. I was recently at Mastermind Summit. We're at this FAMP, I used to call it FAMP on the Run. It's actually the FAMP annual conference and trade show because I'm meeting new work friends. I'm connecting with old work friends. And although some people would deem us competitors because we work at different mortgage companies, no, they're not. These are my friends in the industry. And very rarely do we ever compete against each other. At a minimum, we may compete for the same referral source, but even that, no part of the referral source, referral partner relationship is a monogamous one. So, and then you mentioned something.
But you're going into mindset. Let me pull back from what you just said. I just spoke at this conference, and my comment was about networking, and that's what I talked about. And I said, the most important thing in your success, to find success, not to find happiness and have the right mindset, is your network, because your network gives you everything. I'm looking. I really need a referral. That's your network. I really need motivation. That's your network. I really need to know what's a good best practice. That's your network. Everything that you can get in your business should come from your network, and that's where you'll find your success.
Write this down. Your net worth is the sum of your network.
Ooh.
Your net worth is the sum of your network. One other thing that you said that I've been able to live, and I want to share with the audience because it was a pivotal moment in my life, and in full disclosure, like no BS, I had to get to a certain point in my life where I was solid in my career. I was solid with the amount of money my wife and I were able to save and invest. And then I was able to flip the switch. But I turned 40 about 5 or 6 years ago. And it was around that moment that I said, I am not going to do anything that's not fun. I'm not going to do anything that doesn't challenge me. Right? That's how I make all my decisions. Well, is it fun? Is it challenging? Will I enjoy it? Will I be good at it? Now, I'm not saying I'm not going to work hard. I'm not going to say that I'm not going to fail. I'm not saying that I'm not willing to embrace some suck, but it has to check those boxes. I wish I could go back to my younger me, that the 28-year-old version of me, the 26-year-old version of me, and convince that young punk to have adopted a similar mindset. I think it's way harder when, 26, 28, I was broke as a joke. I was still trying to make my name and make my mark. So I think it would have been harder, but if I could have convinced that guy, I think he would have seen success earlier and enjoyed it more if he focused on just asking himself, will this be fun? Will this challenge me? Will I be good at it, or can I become good at it? And then will I enjoy it? But the fun part needs to be put to the front, just like you've moved happiness to the front in order to keep the show moving.
Well, which takes us to number 3.
Let's crank them through.
That is the answer to number 3. The answer to number 3 is stop waiting for happiness to come from outside. Stop saying, if I only worked for that company, if I only made this amount of money, if I only won the lottery. If you're saying, if I only, and that's what's going to make you happy, it has a 3-month shelf life. So if you say, oh, if I only could be the top loan officer, okay, fine, now you're the top loan officer. What happens next week?
Yeah.
Oh, if I only made this amount of money, well, then you bought a boat. Now you're like, how expensive is gas, right? I mean, whatever it is, if the happiness is coming from outside, it lasts for 3 months. So you said, if I only had a job. Now you're going, if I only had a job that I liked and was fun, right? Because you got a job, you're 3 months, you're like, this is it?
Yeah.
Right? So it only has that 3-month shelf life.
All right, number 4.
Number 4, this I think may be the most important. And I ask you, which is more important? Have more positive thoughts or less negative thoughts?
Oh, wow. Is this a trick question?
No, there's an actual answer. We're not on My Cousin Vinny where she goes, that's a trick question.
I love that movie, and I have the biggest crush on Marissa Tomei. Still today. We can go back to, is it Different World that she was on with Jasmine Guy?
Yes.
All the way up into her role on The Wrestler.
Did you see the meme that I put out with her?
No, I have not seen it.
You got to see it.
I have the biggest crush. Usually I go for blondes and not brunettes, but in this case, Marissa Tomei, I have a crush on you if you're listening. But nonetheless, I digress. I'm going to guess. I don't know the answer, so I'm going to guess less negative thoughts.
Absolutely. If you go and say, this is great, this is great, this is great, and then you go, but that's bad, what happens?
It negates the 3 things that are great.
Everything's gone.
Yeah.
You don't play golf. If you play golf, and you're
I played golf yesterday. Yeah. Shout out to Jason McMullen with National Appraisal Network, NAN. I had a great time. Shout out to my new friend. Is that a networking opportunity? Did I go to a networking event?
But boom.
Yeah.
I don't want to drop your mic, though. It's too nice of a mic.
Yeah. Carlos golfed with us. We had the best time. We came nowhere close to even breaking the top 3, top 5, or even top 10. But it's a gorgeous course at the Waldorf Astoria. So I am able to golf. It's just not necessarily my drug of choice.
But when you look at golfing, what happens? You look out, you're like, there's a huge fairway out there. It's green. It's beautiful. There's a blue sky. Look at that. There's a little bit of water right over there, or a small sand trap right over there. What happens? You're not thinking about any of the positive stuff. You go right into the negative, and that's where your ball is going. So the negative will negate all the positive that 1,000 positive things is gone with one negative thought. So if you eliminate your negative thoughts, then all you're left with are the positive.
You know what's helped me on that? We're not going to dive deep into it, but perspective. The minute you can take a pause, take a step back, take a deep breath, and put everything in perspective. It could be your health. It could be the city you live in, the state you live in, the country you live in. It could be the health of your family. And if you put things in perspective, you're like, there are many people that have it way worse. It allows me to take that negative thought and just literally it dissipates. So number 5.
Well, actually, that whole concept of the negative and where you are, it bleeds right into number 5. A woman named Allison Ledgerwood, she did a study, and she goes in and talk about perspective. She says, she did a study, and she says, hey, look, there's a new medical procedure that's out there. And she said to group 1, and 70% of the time it's successful. And they're like, oh, that's great. And she looked, group 2, there's a new medical procedure out there, and 30% of the time it's a total failure. They're like, oh, that's horrible, right? Because it's perspective. You said positive, you led positive. But then she changed it for perspective. She went back to group 1. She said, hey, group 1, you do realize that 70% positive means 30% negative, don't you? And they're like, oh, then that is bad. Change there, right? That one negative thought. Then she went back to the next one and she said, hey, you do realize that 30% negative means 70% of the time it's a total success. What do you think? And they're like, still sucks.
Oh.
Because once you go negative, you stay negative. It eliminates it. You got to have less negative thoughts. And so that's the other one, is once you go negative, you get stuck in that negative. Then the next one that I would talk about is
number
what
6?
I call, yeah, sure.
Yeah, let's go into
I
it.
talk about it's what I call the ladder to crazy town. And some of us spend a little more time there than others. What's the ladder to crazy town? You see or you hear something, so you do what? You tell yourself a story about it. After you tell yourself a story, you get emotional about it, and then you act on your emotions. I'll call you back in 10 minutes. Oh my God, it's been 11 minutes. Why haven't they called me back? They're going to deal with somebody else. Why aren't they dealing with me? They should always be dealing with me. I've been working with them for 6 months. There's not a lot of business out there. Why are they going to go talk to us for 12 minutes and they still haven't called me back? I can't believe there's not. My wife's going to leave me. See, right? But nobody ever says, oh, it's been 12 minutes, and guess what? Oh, I bet they're planning a surprise party for me. They go automatically negative. So now you get you told yourself some stupid story that has no basis in reality whatsoever. Now you get emotional in the negative story that you just told yourself, and now you put yourself in a bad mood and you're acting based upon your negative emotions. Most people will say, don't act on your emotions. Oh, shut up. If I'm already that invested in my emotions, I'm acting on them, baby. I'm already up the ladder. The trick is you have to step off the bottom rung. Before you get emotional, ask yourself, what am I getting all worked up about? Is there a fact before me? Do I know? Now, it might be something really bad has happened, and that's okay then to get emotional about it. But don't get emotional based upon some story you're telling yourself in the head to try and make that happen. That makes no sense.
You know what's awesome? Before we get to number 7, so I run this private Facebook group for strictly mortgage loan originators, although...
Called the Mafia?
Steve Richman's in there.
I'm in there,
I
baby.
do have like 6 or 8 VIPs. Like I have a VP of underwriting who's in there. I have you in there. But it's typically yet to be full-time, licensed, working as a mortgage loan originator or a mortgage broker. And you can join our Facebook group. It's called the Mortgage Mafia. And today, my good friend Dave Scully, shout out to Dave Scully, Ruoff Mortgage, up in Cincinnati, Ohio. And Dave's like 33 years in this industry. He's been a top producer for probably most of those 33 years. And he literally had a borrower that he bent over backwards to get them pre-approved, answered all their questions, ran numbers, they're under contract, and now they're ghosting him. So he goes to the Mafia. He's like, dude, 33 years, I've closed thousands of loans, and this still bothers me. I'm going to now go back and hit Dave with a little Steve Richman. Hey, Dave, maybe they're not ghosting you. Maybe they've been spending the past 24 hours thinking about a way to tell the other 2 lenders why they're not using them. And if you just give it another 24 hours, they're going to circle back with you. Now, Dave's experiences might be like, yeah, but that rarely happens. But you're telling me, hey, what if?
Why not ask?
Why not?
And if they say, because I hate you, you're in no worse place than you were anyway. So what's the difference? But if the chance is, it happens all the time. When I do my presentations, there's always that one person that's sitting there with a grumpy look on their face. And I'm like, they hate me. And I walk up to them afterwards. I'm like, how was that? They're like, that was awesome. I was in such deep thought with what you were saying. I'm like, don't tell yourself that story. Then we go to the next one, just real quick. And
number 7.
We already talked about success. So I just love Ricky Bobby, because what do you say on Ricky Bobby, you know?
If you ain't first, you're last.
And what's the next line that Reese Bobby, his dad, says?
Well, that's dumb.
He goes, son, that don't make no sense. I was high when I said that. There's second, there's third, there's fourth, and there's fifth. So if your definition of success, I mean, we're in the middle of the Olympics right now. If everybody says, I only succeed if I'm gold, then why were they giving out the silver? Why are they giving out the bronze? If what's successful, my definition of success is to be able to take care of my family. It doesn't matter if you're the number one LO in the company. If I'm somebody who says I'm making enough to take care of my family, go on vacation and do all the things that I want to do, what does my success have to do with somebody else's success? It's absolutely irrelevant. Have your own definition. Then number 8 is talking about what? The number one asked question every day is, how are you? And boy, you are sabotaging yourself in every relationship you have when you make those stupid comments of, I could complain, but who'd listen? Oh, same stuff, different day. That is not engaging me saying, I want you to be my loan officer. I want to work with you and I want to be your friend. When somebody says, how are you? You know the question's coming. Why don't you have an answer? And your answer should be positive. Your answer should be memorable. And your answer should encourage ongoing conversation.
And if you're me, your answer needs to be short, because I fall into the trap. How are you doing? I take that literal, and I may give them a 9-minute dissertation about how I'm really doing. They probably wanted the 90-second version, but it needed to be the 90-second version that was positive.
Well, The reason that I say we're saying the same thing is because my number 3 was what? It encourages ongoing conversation. If you answer, how are you, with 9 minutes, I no longer want to have a conversation with you. So you did not violate my rule, my friend. See, I listen to what you say. So when somebody says, how are you doing? I say, I don't have a problem in the world. What? But not only does it have an effect on them and it stops them and they go, really, I'd like to talk more about that. Or I say, life is beautiful. What? Let's talk about that. But it also, when you have it in your own brain and you say, I don't have a problem in the world, when you say life is beautiful, what ends up happening? You're telling yourself that, and your mind says, life is beautiful. You don't have any problems. It goes back to everything else. You're going to get the question, so have the right answer. And number 9, look, the greatest 2 G's in disco are Gloria Gaynor. At first, she was afraid. She was petrified, right? But she's going to survive. If you really want to thrive with this mindset, I do 2 different G's. Grace and gratitude. Grace and gratitude. What's grace? Grace is giving somebody else a break. You were saying it before. Man, I can always find somebody who has more problems than me. That's right. So when it comes to grace, go with grace and go forward and say, hey, other people have it tough too, and gratitude is giving thanks. Look, I'm so tired of all this stupid politics, and I hate this group and I hate that group. You know what? This is the greatest country on planet Earth. I have gratitude every day. You can fight all you want if you're a Democrat or a Republican back and forth, but I'm still an American, and I have gratitude that I get to live in this country, and I get to make a living the way that I get to make a living. And I have gratitude towards Zoom calls. Oh, I can't stand Zoom. I'm so sick of it. Really? When everybody was losing their job back in 2019, 2020 because of COVID, what was I doing? I was doing my job because I had Zoom. So every day I'm going, I am so grateful for everything that is around me.
That's phenomenal.
Those are the 9.
So check this out. Thank you so much. Like, this is so fun. We obviously will continue to do this once or twice a year, every single year, as long as he's still alive and we're still TLOPing.
If you know something I don't know, as long as he's still alive.
As long as he's still alive. I mean, you never know,
What's going
on? You are aging a little bit, A
lot of bit.
A lot of bit. But no, he is Steve Richman. Make sure you look him up. Make sure you follow him. LinkedIn is an easy way to get a hold of Steve. I know that because if I want to get a hold of Steve or I want to know what Steve's doing, I can just pull up his LinkedIn profile and I know exactly what he is doing. You can go to his website. If you love content like this, first and foremost, sharing is caring. So make sure that you are sharing the Loan Officer Podcast with not 1, not 2, but 3 other people that you know would gain value of it. If you are a mortgage originator, I don't care if you're a broker, a banker, consumer direct, you work in a call center, work for a credit union, it doesn't matter because we all do the same thing and we change lives through home ownership. But do this for us. Go to our YouTube channel. Make sure you subscribe to the TLOP YouTube channel, the Loan Officer Podcast. We have tons of content, not just video episodes for you to watch. Make sure you subscribe to our newsletter. It's free. Steve and I write it. It comes out every single Thursday. I'm doing market updates. I'm doing what's happening in the news. I'm doing sales tips, etc. Go to tloponline.com. That's where you will subscribe to the newsletter. If you are looking for business coaching and sales training, we have 2 options. Join our community, right? It's the best bang for your buck. Dollar for dollar. I promise you there's nothing better out there in terms of value. And limited time only. We only offer this twice a year, but we're recording this in July. It's going to drop in August. First week of September 2020, we are bringing back our 16-week intensive course called LO Launch. We only have 20 spots open. So these are small group, individualized attention. You will get some one-on-one time with me if you're a part of this. If you're truly serious about taking your loan origination business to the next level, go to tloponline.com and check out whether or not LO Launch is going to be right for you. But no, we only have room for 20. So you want to do it sooner than later. We've already taken in over 35 applications.
That's awesome.
And we just started announcing it 5 days ago. But nonetheless, he is Steve Richman. I am Dustin Owen. You have just tuned in to Loan Officer Podcast. That's all the time we have for you today, but we do look forward to catching you on the next episode. Peace.